Passed since potential tropical cyclone 8 left parts of Brunswick and New Hanover counties under several feet of water.
Neighbors in one Boiling Spring Lakes community have pushed for their leaders or their developers to take responsibility for flooding that damaged their homes. The city and the developers of the Highlands have apparently settled a legal dispute over the storm's impacts. WECT's Anaya Cremati heard about it at an emergency meeting tonight. Anaya?
Mayor Jeff Weinkauf tells me city leaders have agreed to settle a lawsuit with developers. People living in the Highlands are still paying for the damage done by that storm. They believe it happened in part because of the poor drainage system that the mayor says worked fine prior to any development. The developers sued the city, claiming town leaders spread false information to neighbors impacted by the massive flooding. Well, tonight, that legal battle was settled.
So we met, we had a discussion with our lawyer, and we approved a settlement between us, Dominion, and Logan Homes to improve stormwater flow in the Highlands.
We've reached out to the attorney representing the builders of the Highlands development, Gary Shipman, who, quote, says, "We are convinced that the settlement will clarify responsibilities and obligations to maintain the system of drainage within the Highlands subdivision. We appreciate the cooperation of those within the city who assisted in us reaching this conclusion," end quote. As far as what's in the agreement, it's expected to be released within the next few days. The attorney for the builders say they should sign the settlement tomorrow. In the newsroom, Anaya Cremati, WECT News.
The family of a